COVID-19, a viral pandemic that has killed over 230,000 in the United States and 79 in Alaska at the time of this recording. It's changed our lives. I'm Corey Coolidge. Anchorage is the largest city in Alaska, a port for goods and a hub for air travel. When COVID-19 reached the city, the municipality responded drastically. After a citywide shutdown of non-essential businesses, the city slowly began to reopen. But now, there were new regulations. The most notable of these were the masks that people had to wear. But businesses had to change their practice as well, only being able to bring in half as many customers, many changing their hours. Not being able to afford as many employees, people were laid off, and some businesses failed to survive at all. I sat down with 4 small business owners from right here in Anchorage to help explain how these regulations changed how they do business, which regulations help them keep people safe, and how we get through this pandemic without losing more of the places that make Anchorage special.
My name is Georgia Blue, and I'm the owner of Georgia Blue Gallery, located on the corner of 36th and Arctic Boulevard. And the gallery focuses mainly on Alaskan artists and also on the artwork from collectors. The gallery's been here for 9 years in November, and pretty much the staff that we've had has stayed the same.
Mary Rosenzweig. I am an owner here at Turnagain Brewing with my husband, Ted. Turnagain Brewing kind of was the beginning or the end, but we started home brewing back in like the early 90s. So Turnagain Brewing became the dream of my husband, wanting to pursue his passion and to make beer that the community can enjoy.
Andy Kreiner, Kreiner's Diner, 60 years old. Well, I grew up in Soldotna in a family business. My mom had several family businesses. I grew up working with her at Sourdough Sal's, Gold Strike Lanes, and several other ones. Bowling alleys, hotels, bars, restaurants. I'm an auctioneer. And then I moved to Anchorage, ran Sea Galley for about 6 years. Then when I was 50 years old, after 40 years of running other businesses, I opened my own place. And that's Kreiner's Diner. November 27th is Thanksgiving, and this will be the 8th year we do a completely free Thanksgiving dinner. We also support Healing Hearts of Alaska, which does all sorts of things for veteran families, especially when one parent is deployed and the other one's here at home, that they do things to help them people out. So we're really actively involved in helping the community, as we should, because the community they're our customers, and they're the only thing to keep us going.
My name is Heather Picard, and I am the owner of Strands Salon in Anchorage, Alaska. Strands is a premier provider of hair care and barbering services. We provide a clean, comfortable environment for our guests and all of their hair care needs. Strands reopened on May 1st, and when we did, that is when we had to start incorporating new habits into our daily life, not only for ourselves, but also in training our guests of the new salon experience and what was expected. We as a team are expected to take the responsibility of our guests when they come in which we can't control. It's been extremely stressful knowing that our livelihoods can suffer again if we get closed due to other people's actions.
Well, immediately it was to-go orders only. So we went 4 to 5 months, 4 months, solid 4 months at 50% or less our normal gross sales. So that was tough. So we applied for both PPP loans. I have 2 locations here and Burgers and Pies over in Mountain View. So that kept us going for 3 or 4 months as far as paid our payroll, paid our rent. But eventually, all these funds run out. And eventually, we have to do our normal business because I have significant bills. My payroll just here at the diner is $8,000 a week. It's a numbers game, so eventually you have to do the business, unless the government keeps giving me money. I mean, one of the 2 things have to happen. Either you let me stay open and run my business, or give me the money so I can afford to close. It's really that simple.
The way the changes, both city, or I should say municipality and state, have affected us is more comes from the fact that people, our clientele, have been very leery of the virus. And so for us, we don't get a lot of people coming in browsing. Actually, we did a number of things. Kind of close to home is part-time staff was cut a little bit to even more part-time. Our gallery hours today still have not gone back to our full-time hours. And First Fridays, which was really, a big night for us, that has stopped completely. And I'm not quite sure when I will institute that back into play.
Beverage dispensaries were considered essential businesses. So we opted to stay open and just shift to-go sales. So we sold bottles, kegs, and filled growlers throughout the big shutdown. And then when we started opening back up, it was a phased opening where, the first few weeks it was like 25% capacity, and then it advanced to 50% and then full capacity for a while. Now it's back to 50% capacity. But we've been open the whole time.
What happened is right before we'd been closed to takeout orders only, or no, we'd been open for 50% business. And I told my wife it looks like they're going to close us down again, and that was going to be on a Monday, so I called the municipality on a Friday. I was trying to figure out what the penalty was. Because in my mind, I'm thinking if it's only $500 a day, maybe I'll just stay open and pay the fine, right? But I couldn't get answers, so I just decided to stay open anyway. So I was open for 6 days against the mandate, had an injunction filed against the diner by the court system. Ultimately, if I had stayed open one more day past Saturday, like that following Sunday, I would have had to pay $15,000 a day in fines, so I had to quit doing that, staying open. And, but, lots of great things happened because of that. I met a lot of great people. We got, all sorts of publicity and all that stuff. But more than anything, maybe we made some people think. There's, two sides to every story. If you don't own a restaurant or a hair salon or your own business, it's really hard to get into the mind frame of watching your business slowly slip away.
Mainly putting in the precautions that we took very seriously in the gallery was one thing, but it really wasn't a deterrent or anything like that as far as people coming into the gallery. I think our clientele really listened to what the mayor and the governor had to say and did their very best to quarantine themselves, especially in the initial months. But just recently, I would say people are kind of coming in more on a casual basis.
We have had a loss of customers. They're mainly in the older 60, 65 and up range, retired, or people that are at risk health-wise. I do believe they will come back in time. Having these extra regulations and rules in place to try to keep people safe hasn't made a difference as far as that group of people wanting to come back. They are just afraid. They are scared of getting sick. So until I think a vaccine comes out, those are the group of people that will choose to stay home and let their hair grow.
When everything got shut down except for essential services, we saw a very clear drop in the number of cases. And I think it was the right thing to do at the time and a very important thing to do. I do believe the public health model that says transmission occurs when people are in close proximity to each other. And I also think that the mask mandate in Anchorage helps as well. Even though people seated can have their masks off, if they're moving throughout the brewery, they're required to have their masks on. It protects other patrons, it protects my staff. So I very much believe that at least the 50% capacity has definitely helped keep us safe here.
A lot of people don't want to know the rules. They don't want to take time to figure out, can I go to that restaurant? Can I not go to that restaurant? If I go there, are they wearing masks? They not? I mean, it's just a big cluster of confusion for a lot of people. They just don't want to get that involved. So there are for sure a lot less people dining out no matter what the rules are till this is all over, just because they don't want to spend the time to figure it out. And there's a lot of fear. I talk to people every day that are scared to death of this virus. I understand that, and I don't make fun of them because there is a virus out there. I get it.
I do have a loss of customers. I would say that The initial shutdown, the big shutdown, it was huge. We were down 70%, which was a lot because we lost both our wholesale accounts as well as our retail accounts. So it was a big, big loss and very scary at the time. With the reopening, there are definitely people that are still not coming in that were, regulars, and I miss them dearly but they don't feel safe going out in the environment. So definitely have lost customers that I know well. And I've also lost customers because of the economy. I mean, I know people have told me, now that's one of the natures of this business is people talk to me. You talk to your bartender. And even though they're not allowed to sit at the bar because of our state regulations, they still, it's just part of the bar industry, so to speak. But people, will call and say, can I get an order to go? I'm not ready to come in. So I know that that's happening. But I do know for a fact, I've had customers come in that have lost their jobs. And, they were regulars. They were once or twice a week people that I got to know very well. All but tears. Some of them there were tears, but I experienced the loss with them, and they've faded away. And I worry very much about what's going on with those people. And there are several.
I hear a little bit of everything. I think there's some pullback. I think it's kind of a depressing time for people. People are trying to get into a new stage of working. At the same time, they're artists. They're very creative. And so you're seeing a lot of COVID art that's really pretty fun. I think artists really have kind of dug in and are trying to do their work.
Well, the majority of the regulations that were presented when we reopened were already in place due to already being regulated by the government. So the ones that were additional are a little bit unnecessary because they just they create situations where we're trying to control little aspects that really don't make a difference inside our space that already is clean and sanitized. More frequent hand washing is only a good thing for inside a salon and outside the salon and in everybody's daily lives, no matter where it is. So I do like that one. But as a business owner, I cannot control other people. I can only control my environment and my staff and our skills. If someone chooses to come in and not wash their hands, I can't control that. I cannot force someone to wash their hands. At some point, we all have to just grow up and be responsible for ourselves and start respecting others. I wouldn't deny someone's service for not washing their hands. I would put hand sanitizer in their hand then.
As far as regulations that I believe work, I don't think any of them work. I think I should be open 100%. I think the school should be open 100%. This is a virus. Everybody's going to get it eventually. There's no running from it. That's what viruses do. We need to get on with our lives. If you're older and you're at higher risk if you do get it, that it will affect you, then you should stay home. You don't have to come into my restaurant. You don't have to eat here. If you're scared to be in public and eat, then don't come to a restaurant. My belief is I don't like any of the regulations. I think I should be open 100%. I think the schools should be open. And a lot of people think that's crazy, but that's just how I feel. I don't live in fear, never have.
We can all Monday morning quarterback these kinds of things. I felt what they did in the beginning was necessary, but and a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I think they jumped back in too soon and opened up way too fast. I feel like we wasted that whole time where the city was shut down. I just feel like that was a waste because we opened up so quickly. The political rhetoric really infiltrated the effectiveness of the strategies, which I find very unfortunate. People are picking sides. Public health versus it's your constitutional right to, live the way you want to freely. And I think that's an unfortunate outcome.
Having all these regulations and having all these constraints, they make you a better operator because you have to be. Because I'm only operating at 50% capacity right now, you find ways, I have a whole bunch more problems than I used to have. So it makes me a smarter operator because I had to figure them problems out. I'm still open. A lot of places aren't. I have to figure out how to stay open. Whether that's getting loans that I have to pay back eventually, I figured out how to do all that. Whether it's PPP loans, I figured out that. Whether it's manipulating my workers' schedules so I don't lose them, but I give them enough hours to stay, it all makes you a better operator. So that's, if I'm looking for something positive, that's what I got.
Well, one of the things that happened was within the community, people were now at home. They were either setting up offices or now looking around them thinking they wanted a new environment. So initially there were quite a few sales, especially of large-scale paintings and different pieces of art that would enhance somebody's home environment, which had now become their office environment. So that was really good. But they were also going through their art collections, and we got a number of art objects in. And that was all wonderful, but we had less staff and we had less hours. So that kind of infringed on, really, usually our system's pretty tight. And I would say right now, probably staff gets frustrated with me taking in more artwork. A lot of these pieces are very exciting pieces that are coming out of different collections, not just locally, but even some nationwide.
Well, I mean, the one great thing was being able to have outdoor seating all throughout the summer. And unfortunately, we were told very specifically that that is not a permanent thing. For business-wise, it was great, and we knew it was going to be great. We had tried to get outdoor seating when we first opened, but we were told that we didn't have sufficient parking to be able to do that. So we kind of dropped that. So it has been super nice to have outdoor seating, to see people outside enjoying the Alaskan summer, and I wish that I could keep that going, but my parking situation is not going to get any better. So I think when the emergency regulations go, so will that.
Nobody knows, how long is this going to go on? Another 3 years? Who knows? I mean, nobody knows. That's why I don't feel like we can keep shutting down the economy, because you just can't. If we do, I mean, I have 6 grandkids. I watch each one of them react differently to having to stay home. And some of them are taking it okay and some of them aren't. I mean, kids need kids. Grown-ups need grown-ups. We need to get on with our lives. If you're at risk, stay home. If you're not, go out and eat. I mean, I do not have an answer for when I think normal's going to be. I can't wait.
Normal will be when everybody takes responsibility for themselves and starts respecting each other and trusting people again. Once again, our industry is already heavily regulated by the government, by the state, the municipality, locally. We can't continue to create more and more rules if no one's going to check on them. And that's what's been happening. You just have to rely on the fact that we were working clean and safe prior, and it'll go back to still being clean and safe.
I hope that goes back to a semi-full tap room on the weekends, when we used to have semi-full tap rooms where people are definitely out enjoying each other's company. We've not seen, and we don't want to have a full tap room, obviously, but I hope that someday we can do that again. And I wish that people would come back out after this treating each other with a little more compassion. We've all gone through a lot. All of us have our stories, and I wish we could put aside the political rhetoric and just see each other as human beings and treat each other with dignity. And I wish we would learn that from this experience.